Hello and welcome to 5-inch Floppy on GameArena.com.au. I'm Junglist, and this is one of those episodes where we're reviewing two games. Both have interesting ideas and talking points, but we just felt that neither one commanded an entire episode, so it's more herp for your derp this week. First, we turn our attention to Hybrid, a third-person 3v3 cover shooter on Xbox Live Arcade. It's a futuristic setting with humans battling aliens for rare resources, but other than look, the factions are identical. Normally we'd say it's a bad idea splitting everyone up into two groups for a game like this in which the size of the community is not guaranteed, but if there aren't enough people online, Hybrid will let you battle supposed traitors to your faction. Fifth Cell is behind Hybrid, and they actually made their name making casual kiddie titles such as Drawn Together, where you draw a character and then play it, and the more impressive Scribblenauts, in which you can type any noun into the game and have that item in the game. We gave up a long time ago trying to figure out how that's possible and are convinced it's just actual magic, but needless to say they can make interesting things happen. So how does that ingenuity translate into a third-person cover shooter? Hybrid is less about adding ideas and more about taking them away. In the futuristic world of Hybrid, the jetpack is the preferred method of A to B. Walking is so 22nd century. Now people just select a bit of cover they want to hide behind and zoom over to it. Presumably this has created a society full of people with weak legs, like that guy at the gym who works his upper body every day. But the effect this has on warfare is interesting. In a cover shooter, movement is a key part of the game. You obviously can't just stay in one spot the entire game, but in Hybrid you've lost full control over your movement. Why would you come out of cover at all then, you might ask? To which I'd say, please don't interrupt me, I'm trying to do a show, it's very rude. But yes, there is this great big period of vulnerability as you float from one meter-high wall to another. To combat this, Fifth Cell have let you move around a bit, juking and jiving, and there's even a short boost to throw off the aim of those you're jetting towards. And there's a bit of risk-reward in that. Take the shotgun for example. Useless at range, but just what the doctor ordered when you're floating above someone. Not to mention staying in one spot wouldn't be great for objectives. There's a lot of area denial stuff going on in Hybrid, with grenades, taking space, retreating, flanking. It makes modes like King of the Hill quite exciting. Unfortunately, just like any online shooter, everyone just wants to play Team Deathmatch, whose acronym sounds suspiciously like tedium, but Fifth Cell have done something clever here. For everyone that clicks into TDM without thinking, there's a round of voting afterwards where you can choose a map and a mode with everyone else. It's kind of like saying, are you sure you want Team Deathmatch? Because this game is so much better with an objective. The purpose of all these objectives is a planet-wide metagame where you can unlock or buy gear, pick challenges for yourself, and choose where to attack. None of the geography means anything, of course, it just looks nice, and if you win the overall season, you get a lovely hat. However, the endgame for Hybrid is similar to so many other indie games with small communities that require quick reaction speed, and that is, for us Australians, we get a raw deal. Sometimes we'd get matched up with other Aussies if it was about 6 p.m. our time, and there would be a little bit of invisible matchmaking going on, but most of the time you can expect that latency bar to be the most disappointing shade of red, and all of your bullets not hitting their target regardless of aim. Now onto TowerWars, another little indie gem experimenting with this delightfully addictive genre known as tower defense. We don't know what it is about tower defense games that makes us so weak at the knees. Maybe it's because there's no real-life equivalent to tower defense, unless you're the king of a real-life medieval castle, but we only do that on Tuesdays. TowerWars can be a normal tower defense game. There are maps where you build your maze of towers, shaping the paths of your enemy's cannon fodder, and fend off over an hour of enemy waves before they become impossible. There are all the normal towers you'd expect. Arrows, guns, Tesla coils to take down shields, a bit of artillery, some fans to slow them down, and these giant speakers, which presumably play share. On the other side, you've got all the normal enemies. Weak ones, armored ones, ones that can heal, ones that can boost shields or speed, and those little fast buggers that zoom past everything. But the main mode in TowerWars sees you not just defending, but attacking as well. This is a competitive multiplayer tower defense game, where you not only fight off waves of enemies, but send your own at the other player. I know, our minds were blown too. The same gold is used to buy both towers and waves, forcing you to make a financial choice between offense and defense. And you'll also have to choose when to be a little bit weak and upgrade your gold mines. But if we obeyed the normal rules of tower defense and got gold for killing waves while your opponent got gold for sending waves, that would just be a never-ending cycle. Waves go in, waves go out. Never a miscommunication. You can't explain that. So along with the second dimension of attacking in a tower defense game, they've introduced a second resource, battle points, whereby the longer your units are in enemy territory, they generate battle points. And these BP are used for upgrades. So I want to go over this again. More battle points are awarded to units that spend more time in enemy territory, and those units are upgraded with battle points. If we use some verbal algebra and introduce some synonyms, that distills down to good units are made better. As you can imagine, it's a pretty slippery slope for a losing player. If an enemy's units start making it further and further into your territory, you might be forced to spend some gold on emergency towers. That means you have less gold for attacking, meanwhile, your opponent is upgrading his units with battle points, and the cycle continues until you're dead. In an early game situation like this, where a few units get past the tower setup, that's almost an instant GG. They've tried to lessen this somewhat by giving you a small bonus if your castle is being attacked, but put simply, that's not enough. The effect is so drastic the game can and often is decided in the first few waves. If we look past our own fanboyism for the genre, there's actually a lot bad to say about Tower Wars. The early game is a slow, redundant few minutes where everyone does the same thing. There's a lack of unit variety in the early game too. Both tier 2 units are armored, making the solution to everything the anti-armor tower. Then it does this idiotic thing where you've been waiting for 20 minutes for a game and it dumps you into a 3v3. How long was someone else waiting?
And I need you tonight. I need you right now.
And that brings us to Endgame. Despite its flaws, damned if Tower Wars isn't just so freaking addictive. People are even chatting in-game non-stop about how much they love it. It's one of those where there's clearly so much wrong with it, but you kind of deal with that because it's a new, fun kind of gameplay. To be fair, there's a lot they've done right as well. Distances from your barracks to the mazes are such that you can time fast waves to catch up with armored waves. You can get healers to heal the big guys, or just identify weaknesses like not enough Tesla coils and abuse it by sending shielded units. Lots wrong, but lots of fun, and definitely be prepared to spend lots of time.